hard and they execute your system, and that's what it's all about. Yes, sir. Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me close.
We are back on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Tuesday night, September 2nd, 9:08 p.m. We are brought to you, as always, by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined on my screen by Spenny Football. Week 1 of the NFL season has arrived. Another year on the horizon. Sure to be full of many mysteries and full of many great moments, full of some heartbreak and despair, that's for sure. But we're here to break down all of that. How are we doing tonight, pal?
Doing well. Sounds like you were describing me off the tee at the University of Maryland yesterday. Jake and I got out with a good buddy and played some golf, and I was a little tired coming back from Downey Ocean. And boy, it was a wild, wet adventure off the tee for me. But I am doing well. I am finishing off a fantasy draft while we are live. We just did. Jake and I, this is a year. I wonder if we did this the first year. We'd have to go back and check. This is at least, I want to say, the 5th year that we have predicted all 256 NFL regular season games. I have certainly had some horrible takes. We have been, pretty solid overall. I think we usually nail most of the playoff teams, which is sometimes tough to do. And I think there's a little bit of science to it that people don't realize, some trends over the years. Someone always goes first to worst in a division, I think 20 of the last 23 years. So sometimes you have to keep that in your mind and force it a little bit as you're doing this exercise. But we're here to break down every NFL game. We've got NFL football on this week. We will be live tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night. We'll be live after the Ravens-Bills game on Sunday night. So we are, in your favorite words, we're fucking doing it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. F it. I guess we're true sickos like that. We do. I feel like I want to say it started as like, well, we'll predict everything for the Ravens. We'll go through the schedule week by week. And then we get into this, we'll shout out the website, playoffpredictors.com. You start to get deep on that website a little bit, and it's a runaway train. Because let me tell you, it's a lot of fun to pick every single game. It took me about an hour sitting going through it today. And it really it gives you the opportunity to actually put your stamp on something. I feel like you see these predictions and you throw out these predictions as either a prognosticator or even just a fan talking about, oh, well, this team is going to go 13-4 and this team's going to miss the playoffs at, 6-11 or whatever the hell the math works out to nowadays. It's a lot harder when you have to sit down and you go through it week by week and you look at these schedules. Maybe somebody has a soft schedule. Maybe somebody has a more difficult schedule. There's a lot. It's a lot different, let's say, than just kind of throwing a number out for a team. It's more in depth, it's more difficult, and more fun, in my opinion.
I agree. So with that, I guess we can just do it. It's a beast of an episode every year. We've got some comments coming in. Rod Wave says he hasn't looked at the schedule, and we'll get deeper into it. We're gonna have
that's another thing for me. I was kind of like, oh yeah, the Ravens they're doing that this week. Like it was kind of like the schedule comes out and there's a whole to do about the schedule and the schedule release and all the content that comes out of that. But man, I just the extent to which I realized I had not even looked at it in probably 4 weeks when I sat down today, a little concerning on my end. Let's just say that.
You love it that way though. You would have it no other way.
I do, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta enjoy your summer. You gotta enjoy your late summer, but it's time to lock back in.
Well said. So, with that in mind, let's start maybe in the division. Do you want to start AFC or NFC? You call it to begin.
I say let's start NFC. Let's save the big dog. Let's save the main course for the second half. I guess you could say.
Got it. Okay. So I think we should respectfully begin in the division of the reigning world champions. Does that sound good? Should we start NFC East, perhaps?
Yeah, let's go NFC Beast, baby. Love this division.
All right, let's do it. I had the NFC East playing out, the Philadelphia Eagles winning the division for the second straight year, which, if you go look at the history of the winners, does not happen very often. Certainly does not happen very often. going back like 20 years. There just really hasn't been even more than that, honestly, like 40 years. Doesn't just have a dominant force in the NFC East. So Eagles repeating, kind of a big deal there, but really just feels like a two-horse race. The Eagles, of course, lost some pieces. Their offensive line has some new starters. They've had some brain drain on both sides of the football. We've got the one thing that escaped me in my mind was Kellen Moore leaving to go to the Saints. That certainly I this exercise helped me to recall that portion. But I do think the Eagles still have plenty of pieces. And as long as they just have like Lane Johnson, I don't know what it is. I just think Lane Johnson makes them a great team. Like he is the epitome of why the Eagles are so good. Him and Jordan Mailata, the bookends overall. They still have the back. They still have the pieces on offense. Defensively, a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys. They lost Milton Williams. They lost a lot of pieces along that front that were big-time contributors for them. So, I mean, Jalix Hunt is probably going to be rushing on a lot of third downs for them this year, things like that. So, plus a lot of youthful guys that were on that team last year celebrating, partying the Super Bowl, things like that. So to spend just a little bit of time, that can lead to some poor decision-making overall, maybe on and off the field, things like that. So I do have them at 12-5. The Commanders just behind them at 5-1. I had them splitting their games. I had the Commanders taking care of business against the Giants and the Cowboys, winning all four of those games. Giants, I wanted to be a little better, but maybe I had some historical knowledge of me picking them maybe to win the NFC 2 years ago and then them going 6-11 or whatever to knock me down a peg. So 5-12 for them. 4-13 for the Cowboys, which like kind of surprised me when I did this. And then I went back through. They have a tough schedule. Their defense is probably going to be a joke again. And I think they're just a full-fledged disaster at this point. I think that it just takes so much wind out of the sails to lose your best player probably on your team right before the season. I think that just leads itself to the dysfunction that Jerry Jones has manifested since he fired Jimmy Johnson effectively. And I mean, it's our favorite show to watch, Jake. Like this is a Cowboys spectacle enjoying podcast, as we've said many times, but the spectacle has grown too big now and it's kind of starting to disgust me. And
it's a little late stage capitalism at this point. Like, man, it's a lot of fun on the way up, but when the center starts to, no longer be able to hold, then things can get a little haywire. You're right.
They also lost. I mean, they lost probably their best offensive lineman for the season already. The injury there has been thick. So 2-horse race to me. I had the Eagles taking it, and I had them as the 1 seed in the NFC at 12-5, which someone will probably have a better record than that. But yeah.
Yeah, weirdly, not much of a race for me. I had the Eagles taking it as well at 13-4. I've got them going 4-2 within the division. It just feels like you hit on it, man. Like there's some departures along the roster and, replacing it with some young guys, but it feels like we're kind of just running back the same act here. And I don't know, man, I think for all the talk about Jalen Hurts being this top 5 quarterback, like none of that stuff even matters. Like they still have Jalen Carter. They still have some of these guys on their defense. You've got a young, who's our boy from Iowa, Cooper DeJean, ascending into his second year. He had a great rookie season. I just feel like a lot of the same core pieces are there. You mentioned losing Kellen Moore. I do think that probably is going to hurt. And some of the natural attrition of, like you said, playing a 20-game season and the physical brand of football that they play, that could maybe catch up with them a little bit. But yeah, man, I just like the way the schedule played out, 13-4, 4-2 within the division. And like I said, I didn't have it super competitive. I had the Commanders in second here at 9-8 and 3-3 within the division. I still love Jaden Daniels, and the coaching staff too. Like I think Dan Quinn is really he was kind of the perfect guy at the perfect time for them. So I don't know. I just think this is going to be a bit of a transitional year for them. They're a very old roster. Like if you look at them compared to, I think most of the rest of the teams in the league, they're pretty damn old up and down the roster. They announced their running back core today, and everybody's favorite guy, Bill, I think was toward the bottom of it. So you still got like a healthy dose of like Eckler up at the front there, and just some pieces that I'm not crazy about. I know they re-signed Terry. That's great. You've got Debo in the mix now. He's going to add some
guys that miss camp don't typically do well as they did the year prior. I know Jamar Chase, there's been aberrations to that, but that has been somewhat of a historical factor. Not a lot of pass rush on the Commanders either, but I did have them winning 11 games. But I those things you're saying it's tough. You know, it's
I
tough.
it might have been the schedule that kind of tipped the scales for me a little bit. And yeah, I think it's just a more competitive NFC in certain spots than we saw last year. And I think that's going to coincide with their schedule a little bit. So I had them 9-8, and spoiler alert, actually on the outside and looking in of the playoffs, just below them, it's 7-10. Your New York Football Giants, the Rust Bus, going to be leaving the station to start the season, and then I think they'll finish out the year with Jackson Dart. And really, that's kind of what this season is about to me. I know Daboll wants to save his job. I know like he's throwing a lot into Jackson Dart, so I think really as long as he looks good, they like Daboll within that building. From what you hear, if you listen to people who are plugged in, they're like, all he has to do is like have some showmanship and go out there and prove that he still can add juice to this locker room. I think Jackson Dart, he could be like the sort of the light timeline, the good version of the timeline of Drew Lock. You know, maybe a little bit too much sauce with the white boy, you know, situation going on there. I don't totally understand. You know, he's struggling with the toll booths there in New Jersey. I don't totally get what I'm tracking there. His Gruden QB camp, some bizarre moments with that, but there's enough athleticism, and I think he looked good enough in the preseason. I think you saw some good traits there. So a good season from Jackson Dart, and you get yourself to 7-10. I just think that pass rush is going to be freaking beastly, man. Like they're going to be bringing guys down with their front four alone, and then we'll see what they're able to cook up as far as, you know, exotic stuff as well on top of that. So 7-10 for them, 2-4 within the division, and then Cowboys rounding out the bottom of this division at 6-11, 3-3 within the division. A couple games that I probably picked for upsets for them. I think you picking them for 4 might be more accurate when we look back at the rest of this thing. Like you said, it's just got to be so freaking deflating, and like I've talked about this with Mike Elias a little bit, kind of just like it just feels like a tacit acknowledgement that you do not believe in this core group of players when you say, hey, you know what, Micah Parsons, no thanks. Like, we're not going to pay you. We don't believe in you. We don't believe in this Dak, CD, now George Pickens in the mix. I'm sure that's going to go great. We don't believe in all of that. This is going to be a transitional year, and Brian Schottenheimer, I pray for the guy and his mental health and his job security. I'll just say that.
Do you think that Dak Prescott is the Cowboys quarterback next year?
I would say yes to next. I'd have to look at the contract. Like, I think there might be an out next year, which makes me think about it a little bit. And I mean, I don't know, this quarterback class, like we're going to talk about our guy, the Nuss. I think when we get to the NFC South a little bit more, I think there's a team that is probably very deliberately targeting him. But man, look at this quarterback class. There might be some options. I don't think, man, I already didn't think Arch was going to declare coming out of this year. After what we saw against Ohio State, he might definitely stay for another year. So I'm not totally sure what their options would be. If the contract is still maneuverable and like the outs get easier and easier, I think we could probably see Dak there for another year. But I feel like we're coming to the end of this experiment. And I think it's unfortunate because I think Dak is a good quarterback, maybe unnecessarily kind of hated on by a lot of different people. And his career, unfortunately, kind of derailed a little bit by that injury, which he actually had a great season even after that. So maybe I'm just talking out of my rear end there, but I don't know. It just feels like something that could have been very good that was just kind of mismanaged by the Cowboys overall, which you could look back at Romo and say the same thing.
Feels similar. And what the Packers did to them in that wild card round ruined them very much. I mean, just crippled them. So I like yours a lot. Yours is better than mine. I'll say I like your record's a little better, up at 7-6 wins for the Cowboys and Giants. I had them a little lower. Moving on, let's go to the NFC West, which I find to be probably the most this, and I would say the NFC North to me are probably the two most up in the air divisions of nothing, truly no outcome of any 4 teams surprises me. If you told me even that any 4 of these teams had the number 1 overall pick, I wouldn't be that shocked. And if you told me that any 4 of these teams emerged as a real threat and played in an NFC championship game, I don't think that would shock me either. Like, I had it going this way. I had Seahawks at 10-7 and I didn't like it. I think I honestly am giving Mike McDonald bias. Rams 9-8. I don't trust Stafford to stay healthy, but they do have Jimmy G and I don't hate Bennett. So like they could start well, win some games and then lose a bunch of games is kind of how I had them playing out. Like, to me, Stafford making it through 17 games is not likely based on the way that this offseason's gone. And just, I don't know, like he got his Super Bowl and I think he gave it a valiant effort, but that man has taken a beating like no other. And I just don't think it's a secret that he's crumbled. We have Rod Wave here. Rams defense is elite. I have Jared Verse defensive player of the year. I think that's kind of like a popular dark horse, but I love it. 49ers, I had Seahawks winning the division, making the playoffs. No one else in the division made the playoffs. 49ers 8-9, Cardinals 7-10. I kind of just like I like the Cardinals roster and depth chart. I like what they're doing down there. I like the way they've built lately. I just think they're a bad organization. When I get to the Jets and the Jags and some of these other teams, I just kind of don't expect them to win big games consistently, and I don't expect them to make a push because I don't think they're good organizations, and I don't think that they breed success. The 49ers, for me, like they could win 12 games. They could win the NFC in ways, but they already are so banged up. If you go look at the amount of guys that are already nursing an injury and are banged up, they have so many guys that there's Trent Williams, who's old, his health, Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, guys that have just been around a long time and taken a beating. Like Kittle's taken a beating. They need him to be a stud this year. Like I think if he can stay healthy, I think Kittle might have 1,300 yards this year, but can he stay healthy? I don't know. They're probably going to rely on him a lot. So I think it's a really up in the air division. Nothing surprises me. I don't think it's a division we have to spend a ton of time on, but that might be silly in hindsight, like truly. So I just don't trust any of the teams in this division necessarily. I don't trust the Seahawks offensive line. I don't trust Matt Stafford's health. I don't trust the 49ers health overall. We talk about the Cowboys too, Jake. Like the 49ers have some dysfunction. I think everybody can smell it. Everybody can smell it. And the Cardinals just aren't a good organization. So I don't know. Like again, nothing surprises me. This is probably my worst division to pick.
Yeah, it was tough for me. And to your Mike McDonald bias, I raised you. I had them at 11-6, 5-1 within the division. I don't know. I think like this Darnold thing might be for real in a way that Geno kind of proved to be for real for them too. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I like McDonald did some good things with them already last year, and that was with a relatively similar situation. I just have this division being weaker, easier schedule for them. So yeah, 11-6 for the Seahawks. I think home field advantage is going to start to get back into the equation, back into the formula for them a little bit in a big way. I think they're going to start to the Mike McDonald love is going to start to spread this season. Cardinals, I actually had at 9-8, 3-3 within the division. I weirdly believe in Jonathan Gannon. Like listening to people that are plugged in, that are talking to people around the league, it's like Jonathan Gannon is apparently like really sharp behind the scenes. He has those guys pretty motivated, which like was it like Hard Knocks that he was on where he was doing the pew 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 thing? Like there was definitely some Kendall Roy vibes with him like early that like didn't totally jive with me, but apparently it sounds like he's got his pencil sharpened behind the scenes and he's got these guys in a good spot. And man, you want to talk about Dak and like being unsettled, like Kyler Murray is in a similar situation here. I think he's another guy who maybe have an out coming up in that contract within another year or two. He's got to show that he like is taking this thing seriously. Let's put the sticks down and maybe not play so much COD, this season and maybe focus a little bit more on football. I've always been a huge believer in Kyler's talent. Like, I just think the guy is like, it's really not talked about enough that he was a first round pick in the MLB and also was a 1-1 in the NFL. Like, when are we ever going to see that happen again? I don't know, maybe soon, but I would guess not. So if he kind of buckles down, and I think they made some additions along the defense that were a little bit slept upon, underrated. So yeah, I think I definitely am not super confident in it, but I had them at 9-8. Second place within the division. Rams, you hit on some of the stuff that I just do not trust. I had them third at 7-10, 3-3 within the division. We talk about not being missing training camp and not getting off to a hot start. Like, Stafford is not only missing training camp, he is now in his mid-30s. He's got a back injury. He's in some sort of anti-gravity chamber, whatever the hell's going on. There's theories about whether he's still alive or not, in fact. And so that all just gives me pause with the Rams. You mentioned Jimmy G as a competent backup, especially with McVay. Like, I get all of that. I'm totally with it, but like, I just can't foresee a scenario where if Stafford misses like 5 to 6 games or maybe more, that you can really weather that storm. And I'm not expecting him to play a full season. And even if he does, I'm not totally sure I see this thing playing out in a good way for them. I just think this is kind of the end of the road for Stafford. Great career, got your Super Bowl ring, like you said, and you can get on out of here as a winner and keep your health and go raise your family. And then Niners, I think this was a function of schedule. I mean, people are saying it's easy, but just going through it week by week, there were some tough matchups for them. And you mentioned the issues with health, the uncertainty with McCaffrey is weird. We were talking about Pearsall in the car yesterday, and the fact that he and Brian Robinson are now the two active NFL players, that have been shot. I guess we could throw Malik Harrison in there too, and they're actually playing together on the same team. That's interesting nugget. Ayuk, we're going to see about his health. My guy Brandon Ayuk, the endless summer of Brandon Ayuk that we sat through last year. Will it have all been worth it? I'm not so sure, because he, coming back from a health thing, and I don't know. Like Brock Purdy, I know he got paid. I'm happy for the guy. But overall, I'm just not really sold that he's a truck. I think he's more of a trailer. And with this roster aging and having some issues with health, like you said, Kittle, a lot of mileage there. Like, I'm just not sure they're going to be able to carry him. So I had them 6-11, 1-5 within this division, which that's one of my ones that I don't love, but I guess we'll see how it plays out.
I think there's just a lot of miles accumulated on a couple of teams in the NFC, and the 49ers are one of them. But again, I'm not surprised. I had the Niners, for example, I had them losing to the Hawks, Bears. I did have them losing to the Browns in a random game. The Panthers, sure, they could win both of those. Rams, Texans, Bucks, Rams, Seahawks. I don't know. You could give them two of those games, I guess. I just think there's a couple areas of concern health-wise for them that I could see putting them really behind the eight ball. And again, I just think there's some tension brewing in San Francisco. Moving on. So I'm sorry, you had just the Hawks making it out of the NFC?
I had the Hawks making it as the 3, and the Cardinals actually making it at 9 and 8 as the 7. So
got it. Okay. Let's go to the NFC South, which I think is a 3-horse race. I think that I did end up having the Bucks at 10-7 take division. I hate it. I don't love it. I have the Panthers just short of the playoffs at 9-8. The Falcons just behind them at 8-9, and then the Saints at 1-16. They could win 5-7 games, but it's just hard to pick them on paper. They're going to be an underdog in so many games. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe the Rattler Snake, who I do like, has a nice time, but Bucks,
you like Chuck too. You love Chuck.
I love him. I absolutely love him. So
I think you like him more off the field than you do on the field.
That's true. It's very, very true. Yeah, sure thing. So Bucks, Ibuka there, Bucky Irving, Wirfs, dinged up. We'll see. But the defense doesn't wow me. I do love Bowles, but I don't know. Mike Evans old, Chris Godwin, Wirfs banged up already, Liam Cohen leaving. Baker's already had I love Baker to death, and that's why I took them to prevail. I had them win a couple tough games. I mean, they're a good team. I think they're just a good team. We love Baker here, and I don't know, but Panthers and Falcons were tough. I think that they are two teams that win big games against good teams and make some noise. I really think arguably the best two bets value-wise for a worst to first or a lower team coming up would be probably Patriots and Panthers for me. I think the Patriots are maybe 3-1, and I think the Panthers are maybe 4 or 5-1 to win the division, which kind of stinks, but go look at what the Panthers have done on the defensive side of the football, the offensive line. I like Rico Dowdle. I like Chubu Hubbard. I love Bryce Young. I think Tet McMillan is going to be a great high-volume receiver that can work over the middle of the field, work deep, work after the catch. I think he's going to be a good player, not dissimilar from Drake London in many ways. I think they'll be able to run the ball, play defense. I think they'll be able to get after the quarterback a bit. I think they've got good building blocks in place. And I mean, my money's on them. Like I said, I'll say the Bears too. And then the Patriots on the first to first games. I didn't end up having any of those actually. Maybe I did, but I don't want to spoil it yet, but those are my 3. And yeah, I just had the Bucks making the playoffs there.
Yeah, I had them taking the division as well, 11-6, 5-1 within the NFC South. I think they are kind of clearing away the best team here. They've got the most settled quarterback situation. They're just like Jason Light is just like a sneaky, great general manager that people just don't talk about. Guy takes big swings in free agency. They seem to draft pretty well. he's figured out the quarterback position despite not being able to draft one. I know like Tom Brady, like that's kind of an obvious dart throw, but like to be able to make that work amidst a chaotic end to his Patriots career and, getting him to sign in Tampa Bay of all places, I don't think anyone expected that. And then to kind of, I wouldn't say luck into, but throw another nice dart for his successor there in Baker is nice. Evan's getting a little older. I do have him continuing the 1,000-yard receiving season streak by hook or by crook. Maybe they'll be doing the same thing that they did last year in Week 18, where they're just force feeding him the ball in ways that we have not really seen before in the league. Godwin, I'm a little concerned coming back off that injury, but yeah, man, Bucks, I think just most complete roster, most settled quarterback situation up and down. And, Bowles, obviously, I have come to trust him a lot more than I used to. So they were my 4 seed there at 11-6. My 6 seed, or the you got to get it up for the Michael Penix led Atlanta Falcons. Very excited to see what he can do this season. I had them 10-7 as a 6 seed, 2-4 within the division, actually. So losing record there, but 10-7 was pretty far and clear of the Panthers at third, who I had at 6-11, 3-3 within the division. I do like that Panthers roster too. I'm just a little concerned with Bryce Young in a more high leverage situation. And, Ted McMillan, I think, will be good. I'm not sure it's going to happen right out of the gate for them. And I think, just a weirdly kind of a difficult schedule. So we'll see how that works out for them. And then in last place, New Orleans Saints, I hinted at it earlier. I think they might, this might be sus for nuss season down in New Orleans. I think they want to go get their Baton Rouge guy, be their face of the franchise for hopefully 15 years and kind of wash their hands of all this kind of detritus that they've been flowing out there post Drew Brees. I think, wipe the slate clean here with Rattler and Shuck kind of starting a smorgasbord of 14 losses over the course of this season. And this is just not the most exciting division in the world for me, as you can tell.
I concur, but I am excited about the Panthers. Falcons as well. One of them will make the playoffs. I certainly guarantee one makes the playoffs. I just know it. I just feel it in my plums. And I, again, think a worst to first or just a new division title could be in the wings. That brings us to the NFC North, who is, again, I think probably the most up in the air division in my head. I had this one playing out very strangely. I don't like it. I like the result because this did yield my worst to first, which is the Chicago Bears at 10-7, 2-4 in the division. The Packers also making the playoffs, 10-7, 2-4 in the division. The Lions, 9-8, going 5-1 in the division. Lions have a brutal schedule. They are so banged up. And then the Vikings, I like JJ McCarthy. I liked him coming out. I have trouble trusting a rookie quarterback effectively. I know he's got Justin Jefferson. I know Kevin O'Connell's fantastic. 8-9 is not awful. I certainly believe they could make the playoffs, but just how it played out, I had them going 3-3 in the division. The Bears, I don't know. I don't hear a ton of hype about them, and I think there is great reason for a shitload of hype. They have a complete roster. I think they have one of the top 7 rosters in the league. Ben Johnson, it basically just comes down to, is Ben Johnson that guy or not? And I'm very happy to say yes. I'm very easily going to say yes. Ben Johnson has the organizational structure, the ability to enhance the offense, to make the right decisions on who to delegate to, do those types of things. He's familiar with the division. This is a familiar territory. Caleb Williams is an uber talented quarterback we saw flashes of. The offensive line's in a much better place. Their defense, I think, is scary. I think that they have depth and a wealth of options across the board, some high-paid players. I think they're hungry, very, very hungry for a functional situation. Just looking at their weapons alone, they're awesome. They're awesome. DJ Moore is unbelievable. I think he's one of the best fantasy values this year. Doesn't shock me if he puts up 1,200 yards or so. Romo Dunze, I glowed about him last year. Luther Burden as a third option that can work in the slot and used in a little bit more creative role. Sure. Colston Loveland, hell of a route runner, big slot. Sure. Cole Kmet there. He's not awful. DeAndre Swift, not a world beater, but solid back who Ben Johnson's familiar with. It's going to be an easy transition for him. I'll tell you that, as his former offensive coordinator. So like him a lot. Their pass rush could win 15 games for them. I just didn't have it play out that way. I just simply didn't. We can get more into the weeds. The Lions, I think the Lions and the Niners, the Bucks, really the Eagles, all have a lot of wear and tear to me. All have a lot of injuries that guys are coming. Aleem McNeil, who knows when he's coming back? He's a huge piece. They lost Ragnow to the to retirement here. As Tutu's just old as dirt now and just getting upsetty spaghetti behind me. But
How's he?
He's all right. He's okay. He's just a little apoplectic in his senility. But yeah, I mean, that pass rush could win a lot for them. Their offense still has so much youth, but they do have a great run game. And Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love was hurt last year. I put Jordan Love in like the Kyler Murray category. Like I like the talent, but I'm not hitching my wagon to him as a Super Bowl winner or anything like that at this point.
He's my favorite watch in the NFL at quarterback. I don't think he's the best. I don't know if he's top 7 even, but like he's just so like when he gets the ball in his hands, there's just something electric's going to happen. He's going to dance around. He's going to do something crazy. He might throw a pick. He might throw an insane touchdown. He might scramble for a first down on 3rd and 15. And you're right. I think that's pretty similar to Kyler. Like there's an unpredictability factor. There's a fun factor that I don't know. I really enjoy. Honestly, like you hit on it. He was hurt last year. I think he kind of got screwed, going to play on that crappy Brazil field or whatever the hell that was in week 1. You hurt your ankle. You're behind the 8 ball to start the year, and they petered out down the stretch last season. But I was all over them last season, and I was wrong about that. Wrong in the sense that they didn't advance to the NFC Championship game, which I think I had picked them for. But, they got relatively close, I guess. I don't know. This year, I am buying all the way in. I think I probably would have before the Micah Parsons trade. I think I'm going to definitely do it after that. Have them as the 2 seed behind the Eagles at 12-5, 4-2 within the NFC North there. But you hit on all the reasons I'm excited for the Bears. I just think coaching matters so much. Like it's just something we really don't think about nearly as much as we should. And I just think that the Bears should have done this last season. There's no reason why they couldn't have. I get that Caleb was a rookie, getting his feet wet a little bit still, but there's no reason why they should have been as bad as they were. And I just think all that promise is going to be delivered on now with Ben Johnson, with all the talent that they already had and some of the additions they've made. I think Caleb getting another year, under his belt, be a little more wizened up, a little more, calmer throughout games, showing that poise that we love to talk about. So I had them at 10-7, second within the division, 3-3 within the group here, and 5 seed within the NFC. So they are a playoff team for me. Just behind them at 9-8. Outside looking in, I had the Vikings 3-3. You talk about coaching. I think Kevin O'Connell, he might be a guy that you want to start a franchise with. It's another, I don't know if he's the best coach in the league, but if you've got the number 1 pick and there's a promising quarterback there to pick and you're trying to start a franchise, Kevin O'Connell might be 1-1 for a lot of owners. So yeah, promising year from them. I think JJ McCarthy takes a nice step in sort of his redshirt freshman season, I guess you could call it, and a talented roster up and down. And then rounding out the division, I was kind of surprised by this, but also kind of not. Talking again about coaching, a lot of brain drain on this Lions staff. I had them at 7-10, 2-4 within the division. Aiden Hutchinson, we'll see how his health is. He's going to be a guy who I think struggles to get out of the gate with the position and the physicality that he plays with. That's just tough. Jared Goff, I like him. I don't love him. You like to talk about the fact that he can get rattled in a way that other quarterbacks that are top tier just don't really see that from. So he's another guy who's kind of a trailer to me, not a truck. And I don't know if he's going to be dragging this team anywhere. So I think I have this as kind of a down year, a transitional year for them at 7-10. So I had Packers, Bears, 1-2, both making the playoffs as the 2 and 5 seed, and then Vikings 9-8, Lions 7-10, both outside looking in. You are muted.
I had the Eagles at the 1 seed, the Seahawks at the 2 seed at 10-7. So just awful here. Bucks at the 3 seed, the Bears at the 4, the Commanders at the 5 at 11-6, the Packers at the 6 seed, and the Lions rounding it out, sneaking into the playoffs there and doing a little damage, which we'll get to. An interesting NFC where it's just wide open. The Eagles are there. The Commanders are there. I'll really say the Bucks. Throw the Packers in. I mean, Lions, sure. They were the 1 seed last year. So we're probably, you guys can come back and kill us for fading the Lions here. But what were your exact playoff teams there?
So I had Eagles as the 1 seed again at 13-4. Just behind them, Packers at 12-5. They're your 2 seed. 3 seed, Seattle Seahawks at 11-6. 4 seed, also 11-6, were your Tampa Bay Bucks. 5 seed Bears, 10-7. So they're your first wild card there. 6 seeded Falcons at 10-7. They're right behind them. And then 7 seed 9-8 Arizona Cardinals. Pew, pew, pew.
Stinky. With that, we will move over to the AFC, but we did want to shout out a special little promotion that we are doing alongside with Morning Mugs Coffee Shop. They have 2 locations. You can find them in both Otterbein, about a 5-minute walk from the stadium, as well as in Locust Point. My little brother from my fraternity, Tyler Delarada, the coffee man himself, has decided to open up
one of the great mustaches too, by the way, that you'll ever see.
Horribly raspy voice, incredibly handsome mustache. Kind of looks like Tom Selleck with that beefy chest. You'll see him in there most days, but they won as well. So we're doing a little best of Baltimore, best coffee, best local podcast Survivor that you can join. The winner will be getting a week's worth of free coffee. Whether you want to go into Morning Mugs into either of their locations, you can get whatever beverage you like. 1 beverage per day for 7 days, and $50 of merch combined, whether you want some Morning Mugs merch, some Exit 52 merch. We have some fun merch drops coming as well. So coffee for a week. If you're not in the area, then Morning Mugs will send you coffee that you can use and put in your own coffee machine and make. They do have 1-pound bags that we will send out for you. We'll be having some fun things. Also, if you're going to Ravens games, check out Morning Mugs. 5-minute walk from the stadium. They're going to have some tailgate party packs. I'm going to bring one on here, hopefully tomorrow night or the next night. So if you want to grab some Jameson right next door from the liquor store, throw it into one of their party packs for coffee, have a little Irish coffee. They also have lemonade options available. Use that as a chaser, things like that. But coffee to go. Baltimore's best, 2-time winner, Morning Mugs and Exit 52 collaborating. So check out that Survivor Challenge. I'm in it. You're in it. Everybody's in it from Exit 52 and a bunch of our friends and things like that. So join it. It is free to enter. U.S. residents must be 18 plus, 1 entry per person, no purchase necessary. It will run on ESPN's Eliminator, ESPN and NFL, not sponsors. You can find the full rules at morningmugscoffee.com/Eliminator Challenge.
Partnership I've just been waiting since 2019. I mean, a coffee partner, that's huge for me. I need to get a bag of this stuff. I need to be throwing it in the AeroPress, get my electric kettle going, just pumping that into the cup and just having myself a morning. I'm very excited to have some Morning Mugs in the morning in the near future.
Go check them out. Morning Mugs on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. 2 locations in Baltimore. It is delicious. It is I'm going to say that, like, it can sound like I'm blowing smoke up my buddy's butt, but it is delicious coffee. They have unbelievably great options. You should check out their banana bread latte that they did after the Savannah Bananas is delicious. They've got all types of pastries, just the best. Breakfast burritos, it is so good. They win Best of Baltimore for a reason. A lot of coffee shops in this city. Big coffee city. They are the best. So we partnered with the best to give you Baltimore's best Eliminator Challenge. Check it out. Again, free to enter. So go join right now. You can do link in bio on our Instagram or Twitter. You can check out that link tree. The link's right there. Again, ESPN.com/Eliminator/Baltimore's best Eliminator.
And coffee's for closers only. So if you win this, you'll have proven that you're a closer. So
you certainly will. All right. So NFC over. Now we can get to the Viva la Resistance. Should we start with the AFC North or finish with the AFC North? We can't do them in the middle.
Let's finish with it. Main event at the end.
Main event at the end there. All right. You pick the division to start with, my friend.
Let's start with let's get the crud out of the way first. Let's go with the AFC South. What do you got?
Texans. Thought I was going to end up with them as like the 1 seed maybe, but lack of a run game potentially there. That offensive line, moving pieces. The Commanders did go nab Laramie Tunsil and with some moving pieces there. So I had them kind of starting hot. I love that defense. Had them going 5-1 in the division, 11-6. Jaguars, tough. Like they'll wrong me every year. I truly believe in a lot of the pieces that they've built, but again, crappy organization.
I think more than anything, you believe in the guy assembling the pieces there in Jacksonville now.
Oh yeah, that's my boy.
Jimmy Gladstone.
Oh,
He's who we've been hunting up. You know,
he's the prince who was promised, the 33-year-old baritone with a slick back, Mr. Jimmy. So had them finishing 8 and 9. I mean, I love the pieces all around. I think they have an okay 5. I think they've got hella talent. I love Tanks Bigsby. I don't know why Travis Etienne. It's like I'm hoping that Jimmy doesn't want Travis. He can go somewhere else, and that freaking Tank Bigsby can take over defensively. I like what they've got. I think they can get after the passer. I think they've got pieces on the inside. I think they got tough linebackers, tough safeties. So wanted them to do better. I ended up with them at like 6 and 10 at first, and then I always do a little revision. I ended up with an 8 and 9. Titans, a frisky 6 and 11. Very frisky 6 and 11. Could be a pain in the ass. Have always been a pain in the ass when they're not good. They will find a way to be a pain in the ass. That is just what they are. Not a good organization, but I like the pieces. I think they have it sounds, all the reports were they had a nice gritty summer. Cam Ward is like the ultimate gritty quarterback, and I think they're rallying around him there and have some excitement. So 6-11, Colts 2 and 15. I think it's just somebody's got to be a lame duck. I had them tied for the worst record in the AFC, and I had them with I think I had them with getting the number 2 pick. Somebody's got to do it. I mean, I just think the head coach GM combo there could be in turmoil and on the way out, and it could just be dysfunction. I mean, RIP to Irsay. Who knows what the hell is going on there right now.
Yeah. I had that same thought coming into this exercise, and boy, let me tell you, when you get that schedule in front of you and you start picking the games week by week, you turn around and you're like, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, I had the Colts at 9 and 8 somehow. I don't know how. I think I like Daniel Jones more than I realized. I mean, obviously he had the one promising season. I mean, he's a toolsy guy, right? Like he's going to give you more than Flacco was able to give you. He's going to be able to stay on the field and be more consistent than Anthony Richardson was. I just love their roster. Pretty much year in and year out. I just feel like they're always solid up and down. I love Pittman. I love Pierce. Tyler Warren, I think, is going to be good right out of the gate. I don't know. I had them at 9 and 8. I had them outside looking into the playoffs. They do go 4 and 2 within the AFC South, but they were the second place team in the AFC South. I did also have the Texans winning it as your 4 seed at 11 and 6, 3 and 3 within the division. I think they're going to win some weird games, probably lose some weird ones. You mentioned losing Tunsil. I think that's sneaky big, but still love Nico Collins. I think if they can just stay healthy, they've had some weird injuries that have derailed them. That was just a bleak scene in Kansas City in the playoffs last year too. And it's just a couple of years in a row where they've just like not shown up against teams that are clearly a class above them. You look at them losing to the Ravens in 2023 in pretty much similar fashion. It just feels like they're good enough to win this division. They've proven that to us. Now, can they make some noise in the playoffs? I get that they beat the Chargers and everything, but that's not going to get it done for me. And, obviously the Browns in CJ's rookie year. So they've won a couple of playoff games, but they just haven't proven themselves in that upper echelon. But I had them 11 and 6 atop this division. Colts behind them at 9 and 8. Yeah, that's a weird one. That's probably my first big glaring one that I'm like, what was I thinking there? Both 5 and 12 at the bottom. I had the Titans in third, frisky Titans. You mentioned, I think Cam Ward is going to play as advertised. Callahan, we'll see what happens with him. I think all he's really looking to get out of the season, similar with Jackson Dart, is just some good play out of Cam Ward. Prove that he's the guy, prove that they can build around him. I think they're going to want another sneaky thing here is they've got this new stadium that's going to be coming, I think, next season. They're going to want to sell tickets for that. So if Callahan can prove that he can put some good tape out there with, Cam Ward and prove that this can be an exciting operation, maybe he sticks around. But 5 and 12 either way, maybe that gets it done for him, maybe it doesn't. Then I also had the Jags at 5 and 12. That's another kind of weird one for me. I could probably, if I had to just pick them off the top of my head, I would have picked them to win a couple of more games, but it might have just been a function of schedule, losing some weird ones there. And yeah, it's just it's another just weird team, bad organization, like you mentioned. And it's kind of a little bit of a make or break time with Trevor Lawrence. I think he's maybe reached a point where I think the hype was probably a little too high for him at first. I know you like Justin Fields over him in that draft. I think like I said, the hype was a little crazy at first. Now I think it's starting to get the pendulum is swinging in the other direction, where I don't know if he's been built around entirely correctly. We'll see if that plays out better for them this year, but I'm just not seeing it. Like, I think Travis Hunter probably projects more towards defense. So I don't like going and getting him another quote unquote weapon. We'll see how that plays out. That's just it's a weird situation. It'll be a fun team to track, but overall, I just had them 5-12, very much on the outside looking in here. Thank you for the super chat there, Dane. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Dane says, appreciate you guys for all the content. Been listening since the beatdown days. Go Ravens. Thank you so much, Dane. Yeah. I think the Texans are a little bit of a byproduct of playing in that weak division. I don't think it's done them justice playing in that division and having to.
They've just never had their metal tested. I feel like they're just, it's like, you're playing in 6 pillow fights a year. And you're going to be able to beat up on some of those teams. And then, like I mentioned, when you get up against the Ravens, when you get up against the Chiefs on the road, it's just kind of tough to really rise above that adversity in an environment like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, Stroud, I think, dealt with a crappy offensive line. I think that's really the thing holding them back, and Mixon super banged up already. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, if Nick Chubb is a factor, if Woody Marks is a factor, I think that could go a long way in getting that offensive line playing a little bit better. But if that's not the case, who knows? Who knows? I mean, the Jaguars, man, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, that could turn out being the second best wide receiver duo in the NFL this year. And it's not shocking to me behind probably, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think that is absolutely a non-zero.
So am I reading it correctly? Is he more receiver than he is DB, or is it the other way around?
More receiver than DB is what it sounds like. I think it's inverse Dion, where they want to work him in on defense. I think they want to make sure he's successful offensively, which has surprised a lot of people. But he did say that before last season that he was more interested at wide receiver a little bit, but he wants to play both. So I think he just sees the contracts. Corner contracts are huge too, but I think there's the longevity at receiver is a little better, and
it's easier. Like, not to say that receiver is easy, but it's easier than DB too. Like, DB is much more reactive. There's just a lot more technical stuff that goes into it. I feel like with receiver, especially these days, you talk about plays breaking down and just playing it instinctually. I think that's probably a bit of an easier learning curve for a younger guy.
Well said. So yeah, doesn't surprise me if the Jags win. Titans, maybe. We'll see. It's just tough. That number 1 overall pick quarterback usually doesn't pop in year 1, but I've seen a little bit of it. So moving along, we can move to the AFC East. I had the Bills taking this division at 13-4. Had them going 6-0 in the division. They're a well-oiled machine. They just simply are. I think that last year they had some hiccups. They've returned so many players, and they had Joey Bosa and some other pieces, just depth pieces. Their secondary, maybe not, scaring you, but good pass rush. The linebackers figured it out last year after some injuries. And yeah, I mean, they play in what's probably a shitty division, but they're kind of the opposite of the Texans. They kind of have that Patriots thing going without the Super Bowls, where they've just beaten the snot out of their division, and then they're a tough out in the playoffs too, aside from when they play those darn Kansas City Chiefs. So 13-4 for them. Patriots, I so badly wanted to put it like 11 wins, 10 wins. I just love what they're doing up there. I love Travion Henderson. I love Drake May. I love Mike Vrabel. So many of their pieces, Keon White, so many of their pieces up front, I think are going to be awesome. And I think they could easily pop. I mean, their offensive line should be better. They go get Williams from the Eagles and give him a monster contract. And he's a Nnamdi Madubuike type player. We've always kind of made that comparison, somebody that can really cause some matchup problems, which they've needed. And I think Vrabel's going to have them, eating glass and being the more subtle Dan Campbell's that, they bite kneecaps, but they don't talk about it. So sad that they missed the playoffs in this. I like betting on them. Dolphins, I preyed on dysfunction. I think our boy there with his Gucci frames is on the outs. I don't find their offense to be physical enough. A-Chain already banged up. Tyreek Hill, who the hell knows what he's doing, when he's going to, decide he's sick of his situation or whatever, he wants to, get out of there or whatever the hell. I think that situation is quite volatile. So I had them at 5-12. Jets, my fighting Justin Fields. I love Aaron Glenn. I love the chutzpah that they have acquired in the offseason. I think Aaron Glenn's going to run a nice show there. They don't surprise me. I don't like them being last year. I honestly would rather have the Dolphins be last, but it just didn't play out that way. They don't surprise me being a wild card team at all. If Membao on the right side, if they get bookend tackles with their rookie right tackle, I think that could do some damage. That defense will be good. And yeah, but at the end of the day, shitty organization. Like I said, they were one of the ones I lumped in and was like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to ever do anything functional consistently. I don't trust them to use Justin Fields as anything other than a bridge. I don't think, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't want him to do very well. And that owner there is that type of person. So just don't trust them to be truly competitive in the ways that I think other franchises are. So yeah, 4-13.
You don't like Brick Johnson talking about the Madden ratings?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite.
Yeah, pretty similar for me here. I had Bills 12-5, taking this one pretty handily, 4-2 within the division. You mentioned it, man. Well-oiled machine. They're just they're more than well equipped with an alien at quarterback in a division that just does not really have aliens at quarterback. We'll see what happens with our guy Drake May, but even his best sort of projection, I don't think is anything really that close to Josh Allen. So yeah, 12-5, 4-2 within the division. I think they kind of steamroll their way there quite easily, and they'll have it locked up probably by like early to mid-December. Behind them, I had the Pats at 9-8, getting back to a winning record. I had them on the outside looking in of the playoffs, but they kind of get back to their old ways, beating up the division. They go 4-2 within it. I think I had them beating the Bills in one of their two matchups. So yeah, I think they'll be frisky. I think they'll be very excited, and I expect many annoying Patriots fans to come crawling out of the woodwork, even more so than they were last season, because just Drake May, even looking like remotely promising, had them way back on their high horse. I would almost be like excited to see it collapse and burn, which sucks because I like Mike Vrabel and Drake May seems like a likable enough kid, but it would be nice to see them continue to just wither away in mediocrity and try to sell themselves on the first remotely promising thing that comes along. But in the way that the predictions played out, I had them at 9-8, outside looking into the playoffs, but a good season up there in Boston. Third, New York Football Jets, fighting Aaron Glenn's, the fighting Justin Fields at 6-11, 1-5 within this division. Yeah, just another like bridge quarterback. We'll try to figure it out. I think Glenn's going to inject some swagger and some moxie. You mentioned some of the nice pieces that they added. I do like it. I like Garrett Wilson. I still like Sauce Gardner. There's just some good young pieces here. There's something to build around, but you got to get yourself out of this no man's land. And it's tough to both have the bad enough season where you can get the good quarterback, and then the good quarterback isn't always there to take. I mean, we saw them get about as good of a scenario as they could get there with Sam Darnold. I mean, he kind of fell into their lap and they just totally bottled it. And Darnold probably wasn't ready for prime time, but it's just another data point of bad organizations staying bad. And until they prove us wrong, like you said, just keep running back the same thing, same prediction with them. And that's how I have it playing out here. And then Dolphins, yeah, I think this is Mike McDaniel's time is up. 5-12, 3-3 within this division. I just think there's no juice around this team right now. I don't know. I think Tua, that experiment has kind of run its course. McDaniel sneaky got some good football out of Tua when I just didn't think that we were going to see it happen. I think in another timeline, maybe this does work out for him and them, and Tua stays healthy, and at the very least, they could be a fringe wild card team and his job could be secure. But I just think Stephen Ross is impatient. I think McDaniel is getting more and more nihilistic as things go along. If you're trying to stay in a good mood, I'd recommend not checking out the sound bites from some of his press conferences. He's starting to get a little Kyle Shanahan. I can't guarantee anyone will be alive Sunday. So he's turning into a sad boy. I expect he'll be back in 49ers colors probably this time next year, doing something on that offensive staff. And yeah, that's how that plays out.
Same, more or less, just the Bills there. All right. So that brings us to the AFC West, which I have in cartoonish fashion, more or less. The Denver Broncos, who I took last year to not win a single game.
Hell yeah.
And that was entirely based off of me thinking Sean Payton was just a fucking jamoke at this point.
Let me just say something. He is reading his press clippings in a big way right now, and pride comes before the fall, and we've seen it happen with our guy Sean in the past. He's running over to James Palmer and saying, "Oh, Jimmy, I love this team," and he's getting a little high on his saddle there. I don't know, man. I will get to my prediction. I'm pretty much on your same wavelength here, but there's a chance this goes bad, and I will be popping my popcorn if it does, because there's nobody more fun to watch on the back foot than Sean Payton.
Well said. Well said. 13-4 for them. 5-1 in the division. Had them splitting with the Chiefs, and had a crazy finish. I mean, I had them losing to the Eagles. I actually had them losing to the Jets in London. I had them losing to the Commanders and the Chiefs. So turned out that way. I had them beating the Bengals at home on Monday Night Football. Sure, that could go the other way. I had them beating the Texans. Sure, that could go the other way. The Raiders, I think, could certainly beat them in one of their two matchups. I had them beating the Packers. I think they'll be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to throw the ball. I think they'll be able to protect their quarterback. I think they'll be able to rush the passer, stop the run, cause turnovers, and limit big plays. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I love their pieces. I love Zach Allen, and I love Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims, if you can find a prop on Marvin Mims, go slam it. Cortland Sutton will just ho-hum, have his 1,200-yard season with 8 touchdowns, and no one will talk about him, and that'll just be what he does. He's kind of like a modern-day Derek Mason in ways, like just a good veteran receiver who gets shit done and is tough. So I don't know why this played out this way. It just did. I don't know. Don't know one bit. But then I had the Chiefs at 13-4 as well, and the Broncos had the divisional tiebreaker. I had the division beating up on the Chiefs a little bit. I expected more aggression for the Chiefs. Maybe they won so many one-score games last year, and that is part of that's a skill that they have, I would say. You know, as much as it is luck in ways, they will go block a fucking kick at the end of a game multiple times, whatever the hell they were doing last year. Against the Broncos, exactly. So had them winning 13 games. Chargers, 11-6, the 7 seed at 11-6, 3-3 in the division. I had the Raiders with a winning record too. The one podcast that I really like to listen to during the football season is Chris Long's Greenlight with his crew there, and a couple of them were pretty bullish. They made some good points. Like, the Raiders are going to be able to run the football probably now, and they're probably going to have a much better defense because they can run the football and rest their defense. And Max Crosby probably is going to win Defensive Player of the Year because he's amazing and also has to play 70% of a game snaps because they can never fucking run the ball. And now they have Pete Carroll and Ashton Genty.
And they now have, I don't know if you saw this, inside information that they're going to be able to be trading on because their owner is going to be in production meetings with other teams. It's
all cutesy. I mean, 9-8, I had them there.
Let's just allow slippage of just every standard and just let the people do whatever they want. Let the rich and powerful just, walk all over everyone else. That's great stuff. Let's let Tom Brady into these production meetings and get inside information and then run to Pete Carroll behind the scene. We all know what's going to happen. He's been a part of one of these scandals before in the past, multiple of these scandals, in fact, and we're just going to let him do it because Fox made a bad investment and he had a bad first year and we've got to save face. So let's allow him into the production meetings and just let all standards and all anti-competitiveness, regulations in place. Just let him slip. Just let it, nothing matters. We'll all just fall into the ocean.
Let's look around this division in that sense. Really quickly. Chargers, John's brother, he was being a naughty boy at Michigan, won a title that way, got kicked out. Broncos, Mr. Sean Payton, he has a movie about how he was a bad boy. The Chiefs aren't exactly choir boys over there just in general activity. So this is the bad boy division of the NFL for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy Connor Orr for getting me hip to that. That's a good take, and I'm happy to parrot it. But you're right, man. It truly is the Wild West, the wild AFC West, and I think it's going to be a competitive one as well. I've got the Chiefs running it back 13-4, but I had them getting beat up within the division as well, 3-3 within the division. So 3 of their losses coming within this group. I don't know, man. It's just like I'm with you where I want this regression to happen. I want it to start to slowly slip away. I want Travis Kelce to start losing a step, but as we talked about before we got going here, probably don't really expect it. Like, he's still probably just going to find soft spots in the zone, and even when he's like going to be old and in a wheelchair, he's going to be able to do that and have this mind meld with Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what happens with my boy Rashee Rice. I'm not exactly sure when his suspension is going to be served out. I think it's going to be to start the year, as opposed to that weird convention where it was going to be a couple of weeks in XYZ. Don't know exactly what's going on with that, but it's just like, it's just, for me, it's simplistic. It's meatball fan stuff, but it's just Mahomes and it's just Reed. And a lot of people saying like, oh man, like the Chiefs, they at least used to be fun to watch. They had Tyreek Hill. They used to bomb the ball over the place. Mahomes was throwing for 50 touchdowns, but then they got rid of it and they got boring. Well, why did they do that? I think they did that because they're like, well, Mahomes is just that good. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't need to surround him with all this talent. Let's just invest in the defensive side of the ball. And let's get this weird fullback Carson Strong guy, whatever his name is, that's going to come in and we're just going to do weird shit with him. And the running game,
single wing offense.
Yeah, exactly. And we just do all these weird trick plays and we're just going to win games by attrition. Essentially, we're just playing with our food at this point. And I just think he is that good. I think Reed is still pretty much right there in his intellectual prime. And I just think they're going to continue to keep this thing rolling. And I mean, 13-4, that's a fall off in record for them actually a little bit, but they're just going to keep finding a way. And, a little bit of a spoiler, but I have them as the 1 seed at 13-4. Slightly behind them, I had the Broncos, 11-6, 4-2 within the division, expecting like I said, Sean Payton, he's getting a little high on the hog here. It would be really fun to watch it come crashing down. And when he does get a little too excited, sometimes that can happen. But just the way that it's all playing out on paper, I see them as 11-6, another step up for Bo Nix. You mentioned this roster is just freaking loaded. I mean, they're up and down. They're ready to rock. Secondary is great. Receiver is still good. I just think it's, they're going to be a tough out no matter what. Raiders 9-8, and I do have them within the playoff picture. They're 3-3. I'm going to lean heavily on Ashton Genty. I definitely think he's going to run away with Rookie of the Year here. Geno, I think, is just a very solid professional quarterback that can get you to a winning record. Pairing him up with Pete Carroll, I think that's going to be a good kind of a good melding of energies. You've got kind of the more stoic, kind of solid Geno, and then Pete Carroll's going to be running around chomping on his gum. That's going to be a lot of fun and some fun additions in free agency as well. So I have them a very, very fringe wild card team, and then 8-9 for the Chargers. So I didn't have them with a winning record or in the playoffs. I just think losing Slater, that's really tough. And I know they have Joe Alt. I think they're going to kick him over to left tackle now. So I think that'll work out okay, but you're down one of your best pieces, and the running game, I think, it's still going to be strong with Greg Roman and everything they've got going on there, but it's just, we've seen the Greg Roman thing. And if it starts to get off the wheels and too many pre-snap penalties and just all the kind of hoopla that goes on with that situation that we all know very well, I just think it could come off the rails a little bit. And I'm not loving the energy right now, although Justin Herbert seems to have made a very wise investment in his personal life, at least. So maybe that could be the juice that he needs to push his way towards potential MVP status, a top seed, couple wins in the playoffs. That could be what he was looking for. So congrats to Justin Herbert.
I think the Chargers have a bit of a program and a culture that Jim is enacting. So that's what made me ride them a little bit.
I agree. Like, this is another one that was weird for me. Like, I could easily flip them in the Raiders. I could easily see them winning double-digit games. Like, there's just a floor with Jim Harbaugh, right? And like that, he runs his course too. Like, we saw it in San Francisco, kind of saw it in Michigan. I mean, he probably, if they don't have the scandal, if it doesn't leak, at least he's probably still there. But man, saw it in, like I said, with the Niners. He just went right in there, flipped them around. Same thing with Stanford. He's just a guy that's just going to go there and win you double-digit games, and he's made a Super Bowl once. Maybe it'll happen again sometime soon.
Yeah, a lot of people say Herbert overrated. Like, I think some people do overrate him, but I think he's a good quarterback.
The discourse around him is just totally out of control. It's like, if you're one of these tape nerds, it's like, oh, he's the greatest of all time. He's amazing. The Chargers are failing him. And then people react to that reaction and like, oh, you're getting too crazy. He's over it. It's like, I just think he's like a really talented quarterback that was in a bad situation for a lot of years. And hopefully for him, that's starting to finally get solidified with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, again, not great ownership, but I think there's a program there, and I think Herbert buys into it. And 9, 10, 11 wins, I think, is a good area for them. And sure, could see, I mean, the Rashawn Slater injury is devastating and knocks them down a peg for sure. But do have Alt there as well, and we'll see. So AFC West. That leads us to the AFC North one more time. If you want to join us for an Exit 52 and Morning Mugs Best of Baltimore, Morning Mugs Coffee Shop, Survivor Pick'em, an Eliminator, whatever you want to call it, you can go to ESPN.com/Eliminator/Baltimore's Best Eliminator, and you can join us making those picks. You do have to beat us, and you are eligible to win a week's worth of coffee at Morning Mugs or in your own home if you are not in the Baltimore area, and choose as well as $50 worth of merch that is free to enter. There is no affiliation with ESPN or the NFL. You must be 18 plus to enter and a United States citizen. Join us. Go play. All right, Jake, kick us off with this one. AFC North. How do you have
I have in a shocking turnaround from last year when I was slightly lower on the Baltimore Ravens, and thankfully I ate my words there. I do have them pretty much just living up to their promise this season, or maybe even underachieving. Some people might see this as such. I have them as 12-5, taking the AFC North for the third consecutive year. They would be the first team to ever do so. Shows you how much of a shit kicker this division has been for as long as it's been in existence, and really going back to the AFC Central days. 12-5 and 5-1 within the division. I think they're going to get off to that 2-2 start that a lot of people have been postulating. I have them getting off to that exact start, winning the games you'd expect them to win and losing the ones you might expect them to lose. Schedule softens up in the middle though, man. And it kind of reminds me of last year. I feel like they're going to make their hay in that spot. I think I had them taking a tough couple of late season losses at the Vikings and at Green Bay, which if they're in a position where the position that I had them in going into those games, if they were to win them, you're looking at a potential 1 seed. So it's really just about buckling down and either winning those games or not taking some of these weird losses. Like I had them sweeping the Steelers and the Browns and losing to the Bengals. So none of the weird losses would really be in there. It's just, you can't afford to have another Raiders at home loss. You can't afford to have a Colts at home loss like you had a couple of years ago. I know they even won the 1 seed despite that in 2023, but overall, if you can avoid those, I think you're going to be in a really good spot. And I have them in a really good spot anyway, like I said, at 12-5. So they take the division. Bengals, tight race. They're right behind them at 11-6. I think this came down to week 18 with the Ravens winning at Pittsburgh to clinch the AFC North. But I had the Bengals 11-6, 4-2. I think they're really going to emphasize a hot start there in Cincinnati. I think they're another team that a little high on their own supply. Oh, we got Joe Burrow. Training camp doesn't matter. This, that, and the other. And that's how you lose to the Patriots at home in week 1, right? That's how you suffer some of these weird, and including to the Ravens last year. That's how you suffer some of these weird early season losses that they did. I think they're going to emphasize a hot start. They were playing Joe Burrow a lot in preseason. I think they wanted to get ready. I think they will be. I think this defense is going to return to form after ousting Anarumo. I think things will get settled down there a little bit, and this offense is just going to keep rolling. But yeah, 11-6 for them. They are in the playoffs as a 6 seed. Behind them, I had the Steelers 6-11, 2-4 within the division. The Steelers, not even really being biased here against them or my guy Aaron Rodgers. It just feels like an island of misfit toys. Just a bunch of pieces that I think are going to work kind of strangely together, like flipping Jalen Ramsey for Minka, kind of just a weird trade there. You bring in DK Metcalf, okay, like that could be solid, but you hear some of these comments that Aaron is making about DK not being on the same page as him a couple of weeks ago, and it just sounds like the training camp has been kind of strange there in certain situations. I don't know, man. Like it could work out and they could go and win 10 or 11 games at best, but I feel like that's their ceiling, and I've got them kind of hitting their floor here and really, hopefully for them, trying to hit the reset button at quarterback once and for all. I'd expect Tomlin to keep his job even despite all of that, but the heat's going to be on if they don't eventually find a serious quarterback option. I mean, Rodgers another year older. It's just going to be tough to keep pace in a division with, like I said before, 2 aliens at quarterback in front of you. And then Brownies, I had at 4-13, 1-5 within this division. Not a whole lot to really say there. I think you're going to be filtering in Gabriel and Sanders and just kind of see what you can get out of those guys. And that's really all you're trying to get out of the season if you're Cleveland.
Love it. Love it. I had Ravens 14-3, 5-1 in the division. I have them splitting with the Bengals. I had the Bengals at 13-4. I am on Bengals conspiracy watch, full-fledged. I think Joe Burrow is the NFL MVP. I think it's hashtag his turn. After last year, it was hashtag Josh Allen's turn. I have the Steelers at 8-9. I have the Browns at 2-15. So I have the Ravens as the 1 seed. The Broncos is the 2 seed. The Bills is the 3 seed. The Chiefs at the 6 seed, the Bengals at the 5 seed, the Chiefs at the 6 seed, all within 1 game of each other, which is absolutely preposterous. Not going to happen. I have a cartoonish low win total for the playoff teams in the NFC and way too high in the AFC. But all the best quarterbacks are in the AFC. Of the, if you want to do your hashtag Mahomes Mountain, like 7 of the top 10 are probably in the AFC. And you could probably even argue more than that, really, if you want to. Like, what do you got? I mean, fucking Hurts, Daniels.
Love.
Sure, throw Love in. I mean, I'm not shocked if Caleb Williams has a monster year. I'm not putting Goff in the top 10. I refuse to do so as well. I'll throw Baker in there. So 4, 3, something like that. But then you go look at Jackson, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Stroud. I mean, there's good quarterbacks. Drake May doesn't surprise me, just like Caleb Williams. But pertaining to the Ravens, we talked about it a little bit last episode. Where's the hole? I mean, where's the issue? It could be injuries. The Ravens did probably have too good of injury luck, so to speak, last year. So that probably regresses. However, Jake, you mentioned that, there was some question marks last year and the Ravens kind of defied them, but they had the most penalties. They had the least forced turnovers. The Ravens forced 17 turnovers last year. They still somehow managed a +6 differential. That is astronomically low. And we just know that their emphasis is going to be on forcing turnovers. It has been. They got the pieces. They upgraded their secondary. They got a center field safety that can play too high shell, can play more man, is like what Marcus Williams couldn't do once they switched from Wink Martindale and kind of transitioned to a different type of defense and his injuries. Mike Green, I mean, I'm looking at Tavius Robinson. I'm looking at Afeoye. I'm looking at Kyle Van Noy. I'm looking at Mike Green. I'm looking at David Ajabo. I'm looking at all these edge rushers they have. This is the deepest rushing rotation that they've had with Lamar Jackson. I think it'll be the most talented. I think it'll generate the most consistent pressure. I think it'll generate the most consistent pressure with 4. And that's how you win today, is getting pressure with 4 again. That's what's back. It was the game, the cat and mouse game of the simulated blitz. But now, again, you have to get pressure with 4 and be able to play coverage behind it. That's how the Eagles won. That's what everyone wants to do. That's what the Giants are hoping to do. That's what the Chiefs are hoping to do. That's, why in my head, I think the Bengals can't do that and shouldn't be 13-4, which I picked them to go. I'll get to them. But this Ravens team can run. It's just, what's the problem on paper? The only problem is injury. And I don't know. Like, who on the Ravens has too much wear and tear? I think Derrick Henry's an alien. And God forbid, I'll knock on wood for him, he misses some games. Like, Latavius Murray will run for 5 fucking yards and then any offense with Lamar Jackson. So, whatever. Zay Flowers misses time. Okay, you have DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman. You feel even good about a couple guys behind that. You got the tight ends. And you've got that great quarterback. I think this defense will be so much better. I think there's 2 spots on the entire roster you look at, really the depth chart you look at, probably the right guard and probably whoever plays next to Roquan Smith. And there's a competition going on next to Roquan Smith. So I think some cream will rise to the crop there, whether it's the UDFA, whether it's Trenton Simpson developing with maybe a better, more functional linebacker coach situation, or, whatever it is. I think they've got a few options there. So I look at their schedule. Who did I have them lose to? 14-3. I didn't have them start low. I think they're pissed they started slow last year. I think they're pissed that their defense sucked at the beginning last year. I think they're pissed about how the season ended. I think that there's been ironclad focus and they're relatively healthy. I'll always knock on wood for them. I have them beating the Bills, beating the Browns, beating the Lions, losing to the Chiefs, beating the Texans, beating the Rams, 5-1 headed into the bye. Like, tell me why they're not 4-2, 5-1, 6-0. Tell me why. I mean, the only team they haven't really beat is the Chiefs, and I had them losing to the Chiefs. So, sure, they could lose to the Bills. I don't think they lose to the fucking Lions at home on Monday night. Jared Goff coming into that with some questions on their offensive line and like we said, some wounds coming in. I'm not picking them to lose to the Texans. Texans just don't match up well against the Baltimore Ravens. At the end of the day, they've thrown the kitchen sink at them and played them in every format. Short week, long week, home, away, playoff, regular season. I don't trust the Rams. I have them starting. I think I'm starting 9-1. 10-1, 11-1. I have them losing to the Bengals in week 15. I think the Bengals can finally once beat them. Maybe, I don't know, just kind of fan stuff in my head. And then I have them losing to the Packers on the road once they kind of are out ahead of the pack mostly. And then I had them taking care of business against the Steelers in week 18. So I have the Ravens, I think, starting 10-1, 11-1, something like that. Maybe at week 15, 12-1. I don't know. I think they have the best quarterback. I think they have a good offensive line. I think they have the run game, pass game, the versatility. To me, it's just the pass rush. I think their pass rush will be really good this year. Plain and simple. I think Van Noy, Owe, Green, Robinson, Ajabo, just those guys. Not to mention Matabike, Travis Jones, Washington. Not to mention what Kyle Hamlin, Marlon Humphrey, Roquan Smith, Malachi Starks, Nate Wiggins, bringing those guys off the edge. I just think this defense is really good and going to force turnovers. Peebles in the comments here. Exactly. Like that dude's showing juice. I think Chuck Smith's doing good things. I think Chuck Pagano is on the back end. Got the two Chucks there. Pass rush secondary. I like what's happening with the two Chucks. I like Santucci, who they brought in. I think Zach Orr figured shit out. I think Kyle Hamilton could very reasonably be the defensive player of the year this year, who just signed a contract. We haven't really talked about that. I don't think we've recorded since then, but what's not to love, especially in the regular season? What's not to love? It's pure. It's pure talent. They have a top 2 roster in the NFL, I think, headlined by a 2-time MVP quarterback who's in his prime, a Hall of Fame running back, 3 serviceable tight ends plus, 3 serviceable wide receivers plus, 3 good offensive linemen plus, 5 good pass rushers plus, all pros everywhere on defense, outside, inside, back. I love it. I like it. I want some more of it. And I'm excited. I'm really fired up. Sure, they could lose to Buffalo. Does that shock anyone? No, they just lost to Buffalo last year. Sure, they could lose to KC. Sure, they could lose to the Bengals. You had them at 12-5. That's probably a more, 50th percentile outcome. 11 wins, 12 wins for them. I think 13 wins isn't far from the median of what this iteration going to the season can do. So it's just health and wealth. And as long as they got number 8 back there, they're winning 11 games no matter what anyway. So I'm like calm about the season. I think the pass rush is going to be pay-per-view, HBO, freaking popcorn and a candy and a soda and putting your feet up and wiggling, I like to call it, batting your tail, wiggling your toes, sitting there in your socks on Sundays, watching this pass rush tee off. I think
I thought you were going to go the new seats they have in the movie theaters that jiggle around, which I mistakenly bought when I went to go see The Naked Gun. Not the right movie for that, let me tell you.
Oh boy, oh boy. But yeah, I think this pass rush just tees off, man. And Eric DaCosta is starting to become a Chad. Their secondary wasn't good enough, and their pass rush probably wasn't consistent enough. So he went and did the things that he needed. Their receivers haven't ever been good enough. So he kept going and going and going and going until they had good receivers, and now they do. Oh, the Hall of Fame running backs available? No one's paying running backs? That's stupid. Like him and Howie Roseman, and there's a couple other guys, fuck them picks. Snead, I'll put him in that category. You mentioned JL out there in Tampa. I think he's got a little bit of that Chad to him too. But yeah, I'm just calmly thinking the Ravens are the 1 seed and we can get into the playoffs and stuff like that. But I'll save it. But yeah, AFC to me, I mean, Bengals and Chiefs, regression probably imminent. Looking around the AFC, Bengals lost a lot of 1-score games. Chiefs won a lot. So maybe the tide turns a little there. I do think the 2 best teams in the AFC are the Ravens and the Bills. I do wholeheartedly believe that. I think they're just balanced and calm. And I think they'll probably reasonably be the 1 and the 2 seed. I didn't love that the Broncos ended up 13-4 here, but for me in the AFC, it was, I guess we can talk a little bit more about the AFC North, but for me in the AFC, it was 1 Ravens, 2 Broncos, 3 Bills, 4 Texans at 11-6, 5 Bengals, 6 Chiefs, 7 Chargers. No new friends, really. Chargers missed last year, but no new friends, really.
No, you said it all with the Ravens. I think it's all there on paper. I think this might be the best roster that we have seen since we started doing this podcast going into a season. There's just not a ton of weaknesses. You talked about you were with your cover one guy there, Ant, talking about the who's my bitch. I mean, maybe it's Falalele, like you said. Outside of that, I just don't see a ton of weaknesses with this team. I think middle linebacker outside of Roque One, there's some questions there certainly, and then the safety depth might be a bit of an issue. You'd hope to get as many games out of Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks as you can, but overall, it's just on paper. It's all there. You hope Louque makes his kicks. Like that's.
I think the special teams will be an improvement. I think they'll commit less penalties because their offseason's been less volatile. I think they'll have less. What have we heard from Harbaugh? I mean, all year it's turnovers and pre-snap offensive penalties effectively.
That's all it is. Like that's what I was driving toward. Like it's all there on paper. You've got to start turning the ball over. You mentioned 16, 17 interceptions, and obviously still managing to have the positive turnover differential is very impressive. And that speaks to just how good Lamar was, I think, with only 4 interceptions and the 40 plus touchdowns that he had all purpose. It's all there. You've just got to start improving that turnover differential, and you've got to start doing it when it matters. I mean, it's starting to, I think people, even in the sort of wider sort of conversation, you mentioned like Skip Bayless is talking about the fact that the Ravens only have 3 turnovers in the playoffs on defense, going back throughout the entire Lamar Jackson era. Like that's what it's going to come down to. And we'll get into the playoffs, but you'd like to see that start early in the regular season. I'd like to see them take the ball away more, be more aggressive on that front. And start showing up against some of these better quarterbacks too. Don't let Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow gash you to the extent that they have in big spots. And don't make it so that Lamar Jackson is having to bail you out in these big spots. Don't make it so that Lamar Jackson is having to bail you out and put on a Superman cape and drive down the field against Buffalo late in the game. And then, obviously you had the Andrews drop, but I'd say overall the Ravens defense was a letdown in that Bills game. Like for once, like put it on your own shoulders. I think Kyle Hamilton has talked about this. Like we want to do this for him. Like we want to start kind of repaying our faith back into him. And like, we want to be that sort of, we're technically supposed to be the shield, but we want to start acting more like the sword. Like that's how the Ravens won their first Super Bowl, right? They
have the margin for error to be endlessly more aggressive because of the quarterback.
Right. And it's almost like they were already giving up big plays throughout that first 9 weeks last season. It's like, all right, well, I'm actually good with them maybe giving up some more big plays if it leads to more splash plays. Like you look at some of these splash plays that the Chiefs and the Bills and even the Bengals, when they went on their run in the playoffs, were able to make. Like you talk about that margin for error. That's fine. Lean into that and maybe allow a few to go against you, but get a few back and swing the momentum and put your quarterback and your running back and your historically good offense in position to succeed. Number 1 in yardage last year on offense, and yards aren't, the only thing, but that speaks to being in situations where you're not always getting short fields, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, it just all boils down to the fact that it's all there on paper. And I feel very calm, like you said, going into the season. And it's just a matter of, can you get out of your own way? And I guess we can talk about that when we get to the playoffs. And I'll very quickly roll through my AFC, where I had the Chiefs as the 1 seed at 13-4, shocker there. Bills as the 2 seed at 12-5. They beat the Ravens by virtue of a tiebreaker there. Ravens as the 3 seed at 12-5. Texans 4th at 11-6. The Broncos were your 5 seed at 11-6. Bengals also 11-6 as your 6 seed, and the Las Vegas Raiders at 9-8, sneaking in as your 7th seed.
Love it. Yeah, we can just roll through it. Wild card round. I had the Bengals over the Texans, the Bills over the Chiefs in the wild card. I took. I think that going on the road to Buffalo, I think the Bills can get it done. I think that the Chiefs are tired, and I think that the Chiefs are in a transitional phase. And I think in the wild card specifically, in the event that one of those 2 other teams, to me, the 3, the Raiders too. So I think somebody figures out how to win that division, and I think that makes the Chiefs have to go on the road a lot. And I think they can't get it done because of it. They skip the first round, the wild card, so many times, and then get those home games. And I don't think that's the case. And I think they run into a Bills team that is going to be tough up there in January, and the Chiefs have done it, but Usually most teams break through other than the Buffalo Bills, who lost 4 straight Super Bowls. So maybe I'm just the fool here. I have the Broncos over the Chargers in the AFC. So it's Bengals, Bills, Broncos advancing with the Ravens as the 1 seed waiting. Then in the NFC, I had the Commanders, Packers, and Lions moving on. The Commanders over the Bears in the 4 seed. The Packers over the Bucks. I think the Bucks will wear down. They're old. Experience is great, but I think this season will pile up on them, and the Packers are a little more upstart and youthful and like what LaFleur does in those big games. And then I had the Lions beating the 2 seed Seahawks. The Lions experienced. I think the Lions season will start slow and get faster, and I think the Seahawks will probably start a little faster perhaps and maybe get a little slower. So again, I had the Bengals, Bills, Broncos, alliteration there, Commanders, Packers, and Lions moving on to the Ravens and Eagles with the 1 seeds.
Wild card round, I had the Broncos as the 5 seed beating the Texans in Houston, who were your 4. I had the Ravens at home as the 3 seed holding serve against the 6-seeded Bengals. That will be a fun game. The 2 seed Bills easily dispatch of the 7th-seeded Raiders. So you've got the Broncos, Ravens, and Bills advancing out of wild card weekend on the AFC. NFC side, I had the Buccaneers taking care of business against the Bears. I think that will be a fun game, actually. I had them close in record there, too, at 11-6 and 10-7. So, yeah, Bucks beat Bears there. 6-seeded Falcons, I have them going into Seattle, and Michael Penix Jr., a little bit of a home game.
It's actually Michael Penis. You mispronounced.
I was going to say it, and then I decided at the last second to not do that. So I had the Falcons going into Seattle and upsetting the Sam Darnold-led Seahawks. Big moment there for young Michael Penis Jr. I think that will be a huge win for them, and it give them a lot of confidence going into next season. And then the 2-seeded Packers holding serve against the 7th-seeded Cardinals. So for your wild card round, I had, again, Broncos, Ravens, Bills coming out of the AFC out of that weekend, and the Buccaneers, Falcons, and Packers advancing to the divisional round.
Love it. Keep going. Take us through your Super Bowl. Just keep on rattling them.
Yep. So this is Homer Jakey coming out. I have the number 3 seed Baltimore Ravens going into Buffalo, and yes, they get it done this year. For all the reasons we just talked about, I think it's going to finally start to go back their way. I think Chuck Pagano is going to be a big factor in this. You mentioned Santucci and some of the other additions they've made to the staff that is going to help get the best out of these players. I think Malachi Starks is going to prove to be a big addition along that back end. And I think by this point in the season, he'll definitely have found his footing. I think you're going to be seeing splash plays, turnovers forced on the defensive side of the ball, and the offense doing what they do. So I could very realistically actually see this happen. I could see the Ravens going in there, getting revenge, not just for last year, but I do have the Bills beating them heading into this week 1 game. Spoiler alert there. I had the Chiefs in a competitive game as the 1 seed beating the 5-seeded Broncos. I think that'll be a fun AFC West matchup. Broncos maybe still a year away from true contention, but a competitive game, and Chiefs advance to the AFC Championship game where they will host your Baltimore Ravens. I had the Packers, 2 seed on the NFC side, beating the 4-seeded Buccaneers. And chalk again, I've got the Eagles as the 1 seed beating the Falcons in Philly. So you've got an AFC Championship game of Ravens at Chiefs and an NFC Championship game of Packers at Eagles. And again, like I mentioned, I think the magic carpet ride that we've been waiting for 7-8 years at this point, it is going to continue. I think the Ravens go into Kansas City and get it done. Like I said, it's going to have to be a magic carpet ride. You're going to have to turn the ball over. Mahomes is going to have to make an uncharacteristic mistake or two, or somebody on that offense force a fumble, grab an interception, have Harrison Butker miss a kick, have something happen that's going to go your way. I know it's totally an exact science. I'm just kind of talking out of my rear end here. But like I said, I've got the Ravens getting it done and going to the Super Bowl because, like I said, even scientifically, I feel like they've got probably the best roster. I think they're seasoned. I think they're right in kind of that sweet spot. And I don't know, man. And to be fair, I wasn't feeling this way last year. I felt like last year was kind of a transitional year. In fact, I think it was more of a transitional year than they probably got credit for. I think they probably outperformed that a little bit just by virtue of how good Lamar actually was last season. So I've got them finally fulfilling that promise and making their way to the Super Bowl, where they will face the Green Bay Packers, who go in, and in a rare situation, I've got 2 road upsets in the conference championships. I've got the Packers celebrating in an away locker room in a hostile Philadelphia, where they will take care of the 1-seeded Eagles, who are just going to be worn down and tired by this point. They've been playing in a lot of playoff games the last couple of years, and a 20-game season last year, it's going to finally catch up to them. Packers are going to have a lot of juice. You added a lot to your pass rush here with Micah Parsons, and I think Jordan Love, like I said, big bounce back season for him. I think he stays healthy all the way through, and he fulfills his promise as well. And of course, if I put the Ravens in the Super Bowl versus the Packers, I will pick them to win it. Why not? They've got the best roster. Quarterback is in his absolute prime. He's coming off his best season, and it's time to go do this thing. And I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Love it. That's your first time, if I'm not mistaken, ever thinking the Ravens had the right stuff to go get it done. When we've done this, this is at least the 5th time I would say that we've done this, if not the 6th. I don't think we did it the first year, but maybe. So love it. I have the AFC playing out. Bills take over the Broncos in Denver. I think big bad Josh Allen too much. One of the ones that can break that defense. I have the Ravens beating the Bengals also at home. I have the Packers advancing past the Commanders. Tough one to pick there. I think both of those teams are flawed, but tough. Tough. I'll take the pass rush when in doubt, and I think the Packers have that. The Commanders do not. The Eagles get the Lions and just tear them to smithereens, a Lions team that has some bruises. Eagles just in Philly. I think they can conjure up enough Philly demon. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want them to make it. I didn't want them to get to the NFC Championship game necessarily. But lo and behold, they do through Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then I had Ravens, Bills. And my feeling is simply this. If the Ravens get home field advantage, I think they will go to the Super Bowl. I think it will not occur that way again. It will be what everyone's wanted. I don't find this season to be a disappointment if that's not the case, but I believe the Ravens need to skip the wild card and play 2 games, get healthy. I think they've made mistakes. I think this is the year that they can force the turnovers. They've emphasized it. They have acquired the pieces to do it. They haven't had turnover. They don't have missing pieces. They have continuity in both successful coordinator on the offensive side of the ball, which hasn't really happened. They haven't really had back-to-back great offensive years with the same offensive coordinator before. That just hasn't happened yet. So I think Lamar Jackson's been great in the playoffs. Hasn't been bad. Whatever narratives, a lot of that stuff comes from him as a rookie and a second-year player and all that shit. So, again, if I think it goes through Baltimore, I think the Ravens do it. I think there's a good shot of that. And I think if the Bills get home field advantage, I think they'll win. I think the Bills will. I think one of those 2 teams, Ravens and Bills, will represent the Super Bowl this year. I think there's completeness on both sides of the ball. When you do the who's my bitch on the Bills team, there's safeties maybe, but they're still like fine quality players. So yeah, I have the Ravens doing it. Just nothing tells me they won't. I've done this before. This is my second time in the last 3 years. Maybe I did it last year, whichever, but I think it's my second time picking them. And then on the other side, I had the Eagles and the Packers. I debated this one heavily. I think Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons could be enough, but if there's a team that can handle that, it is the Eagles. If Mailata and Lane Johnson are alive, breathing, and suited up in football pads, I think they can give them enough to run the ball. That Eagles defense, again, a lot of young faces now. They do have Jalen Carter, who, if I'm not mistaken, has not been paid yet and couldn't be paid yet. So he wants a contract, and he's going to play lights out. I've mentioned 2 other possible DPOYs. If I had to pick 3, it's going to be Jalen Carter, Max Crosby, Jared Verse. Those are my favorites. And Packers still too young. Still, what if Matthew Golden's great? That could go a long way. I like Kraft there, the tight end. Their offensive line's pretty solid, but again, I just think they have too many flaws. Aiden here says Bills wide receivers a question mark, banking on Keon Coleman. They was good enough last year. They just, they got chiefed, and maybe they will again this year. But I don't know. Chiefs gambit has run thin for me overall. And then I have the Ravens and Eagles in the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens are the one that's not tired. I think they're the one that's more hungry. I think they're the one that is more complete, to be frank. I think the Ravens have a better roster than the Eagles do. I think the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, that's awesome. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, that's awesome. Obviously, those receivers, Smith and Brown, I mean, nothing to sneeze at, but for the Ravens, but Eagles have better receivers. I think the Ravens defense is going to be the difference maker this year. I think Kyle Hamilton paid, and I think it's, I don't know, this is probably worthless to say, but it's just the intensity that he has. He reminds me of Gunnar Henderson on the other side of the parking lot there. Like, it's time for the culture to change. For the Ravens, it's just on that side of the ball to me. Like, and Jake, you made such a great point about Kyle Hamilton's words that the defense needs to be the sword, not the shield. They need to be hunting down greatness, not hoping Lamar will carry and playing safe and forcing field goals and all that shit. They need to get strip sacks. They need to create chaos. They need to be hurt, give up big plays, like you said, taking those risks. I think they have the opportunistic defense. Malachi Starks, there's a question here. Who's more important, Malachi Starks or Mike Green? I might regret saying this. I'm gonna say Malachi Starks, man. Like, having good safeties and good corners back there. I think the pass rush, Mike Green very well could be the one to take him over the top. I mean, he's got
the Ravens had the most sacks in the NFL last year. Like, that's the thing. Like, they don't get home with 4 a ton. They don't have a ton of individual rushers that have the skill that Mike Green has to, go and be that 15 sack guy. They're close with, obviously with Matabike and everything, but they can manufacture pass rush, right? I think you're right on there with your point about Starks.
Yeah, but I don't think you can do that in the AFC Championship. I don't think you can do that in the Super Bowl. So, like, I do think the Ravens have the pieces. I look at this team, like, who would really hurt to lose? Probably Travis Jones, who did have an ankle last year. He's getting some pretty crazy rumblings going around. OL Masterminds, Duke Manyweather, all those guys. They all know about him. They all know about Travis Jones. I think he's a big piece. Literally, he's a large piece for the Ravens defense, and they don't have nose tackle depth. They've got John Jenkins, and that's a nice run stuffer, but I think Travis Jones can generate some more pass rush, and he will command double teams. He will fuck a center up if healthy. He's playing for a contract. I think he'll do everything he can to stay healthy and to the best of his ability. There's all these external factors, but that's going to mean that Owe, Van Noy, Robinson, Mike Green, I'll throw a Jabo in. Like, it means those other guys are getting a lot of one-on-ones. I think this is, you mentioned they have been getting sacks, but they need pressure and chaos more. They couldn't get to Josh Allen. They couldn't get negative plays. They got a 3rd and long, and Brandon Stevens was in the slot, and they couldn't get pressure and floated it. And the Ravens were up 7-0 at that point. That enabled, instead of the Ravens getting the ball back up 7-0, the Bills go down, score a touchdown, 7-7, and gets the juices flowing for Buffalo. So have to get pressure with 4. I think they have the pieces to, and I think they've got the ammo to go get more if needed. If it's still not enough, I mean, I don't think that the Ravens have really been one to sit back at the trade deadline. They've gotten Ngakoue, they've gotten Roquan Smith, they've gotten Marcus Peters, they've made moves at the deadline. Deontay Johnson last year, which, hey, that one fizzled out. Offense is always even just tough in general, even if Deontay Johnson wasn't a dickhead, then it was tough. But I think they just know what to do. Like, I don't think there's some mystery anymore. I don't think it's like looking at a Rubik's Cube for the first time and they're like, shit, we got to force some turnovers and clean up the penalties. Special teams, could be better. And that's it. And John Harbaugh's a great special teams coach. This franchise is great at forcing turnovers overall. It was an aberration last year that they didn't over the course of this franchise. And I think when you don't have your freaking offensive line coach pass away right before the season, while you're trying to integrate the big Australian who's never played guard and isn't that freaking experienced in football overall, and then the kid coming off a torn ACL, and then the rookie right tackle platooning with the swing tackle who you don't want to start because he has a degenerative neck disorder. I don't think that led to literally in week 1. I mean, they got how many penalties just on their offensive line? So
I was very worried about it. Let me tell you. And man, was I feeling a little vindicated after those first 2 weeks, and they figured it out. Credit to them. But that's kind of what I'm talking about with, like, last year was way more of like a transitional year than people would think. Like, you see 12-5, you see what they did winning a playoff game, but man, I think that just goes to show how talented and how awesome the top end of this roster is, that they were able to manage that churn. And now I feel like they're on the other side of that, and they're kind of riding the wave at the perfect crest right now. And they're right where they need to be talent wise.
And the Ravens have the cheapest beer in the NFL, $6 a beer, cheapest. They're paying their tutelage to their I should say paying their sacrifice, their ritual.
Yeah. Paid forward.
To paying it to the football gods. Cheap beer. We're going to bring you cheap beer, good football. Cheap beer, good football. That's our rain dance. Cheap beer, good football. Cheap beer, good football. That's their sacrifice to the football gods. I think that's good.
Well, it's not going to matter for you because you're going to be in that like club thing, right? That's like beneath the stadium that you can't actually see onto the field, and you're going to be eating your wine and cheese, right? You were talking about how pumped you were about that before we got going.
Yeah,
here.
That's where I'll be, where you can't even see the game. You can watch it on TV though. For
$500 a pop. That's a steal. It's a deal. It's a steal.
Gabe DiNicolo says, how do we feel about the early bye week? What is it? Week 7, I think. Could be earlier.
I was starting to like the late bye weeks. I know we complained about it, but it kind of made it feel like 2 seasons almost. Like you get a nice late break, and like, you know, I know they limped into it last year with that Eagles game, but they came out of it firing. I always like it when they come out firing late bye week and they're just ready to go on a tear. But we'll see. Maybe this is the mojo they need. Keep the momentum going all the way through.
Well, they know they can do that sprint in the beginning also. Like Harbaugh is so good utilizing the bye. They can sprint the beginning. The coaches can drain their batteries in that tougher early portion. I think it will work out well with that. Are you worried about Ricard possibly being out week 1? I mean, would love to have him out there, but
does he actually, like, I saw some rumblings that it was like a soft-ish, like maybe hamstring thing. And then I'm also seeing like maybe they're just kind of resting him. I'm really not sure what to think, but it worries me a little bit.
I think they'll be okay. Love to have him out there. I think he just adds to the versatility. Of course, we've talked about him ad nauseum on the show over the years, but yeah, I like it. And Taylor says 2 Thursday night games, Halloween and Thanksgiving. So they will have some weird rest stuff there as well. But yeah, I do think the Ravens need to get the 1 seed. If the Bills get the 1 seed, I think they'll win it. I honestly think getting the 1 seed is so big in the AFC. I really do. It runs you down going through that wild card and being at home. And I think all these teams no surprise team is getting the 1 seed. Like maybe the Bengals.
Sounds like the Broncos might be your squad to go and do it.
I don't like it. I told you I didn't like it. I don't think that happened. Maybe, but I think when you can skip a game, it's a win. At home, it's huge. And there's only one of them. So I'll say if the Ravens, Chiefs, or Bills get the 1 seed, they will win the Super Bowl. If the Bengals do, I'm not putting them in that category. Just not enough defensively. But they could seriously do some damage in the regular season. And I think they're dangerous. They're sharp. And again, I do have Burrow as NFL MVP simply because I think it's #his turn.
Dan Orlovsky is going to be the campaign manager. I mean, that guy is going to be burning the midnight oil, just brewing pots of coffee, coming up with slogans. He's going to be polling, he's going to be taking down the polling numbers. He's going to be, running surveys. That guy is going to be driving that train this season. Let me tell you.
It's his turn. It's his turn. And maybe that becomes a clown show and it just goes to Allen or Mahomes or Jackson again. But that's, It's such a cutesy thing now. Whatever. Who's winning Super Bowl MVP other than the obvious? I mean, Derrick Henry could run for 245 yards in a Super Bowl. I mean,
he'd be another obvious one too, though, because like it's him or Lamar. You know, you'd think about that for the Ravens. I'd think like, man, if the offense doesn't do much, kind of in keeping with what we're talking about, if the offense is kind of maybe not bad, but they're sort of middling and like maybe you only get like 2 offensive touchdowns, but like Kyle Hamilton gets his hand on a ball and then maybe forces a fumble too, you get the rare defensive MVP. I think Malcolm Smith might have been our last one. I could see Hamilton. He's got the name recognition. He's, you know, I think the Gen Z, Gen Alpha kids love Kyle Hamilton. I could see that being a popular vote for MVP if he were to make some splash plays.
Sure. Defensively, you have to like score a touchdown or have like 3 sacks or something. So it's just whoever does the thing. But I mean, I wouldn't think it's anyone other than Henry or Lamar. Aiden says I can see Jaden Daniels win MVP. Yeah, I'm a little worried about them. They did get Tunsil. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be really fucking good. Was my QB1. Is going to be really fucking good.
He already was, dude. He was like a top 7 quarterback at worst last season. Like he was probably better than that. Like,
yeah, I think he is so good at processing. And I fucking hate Cliff Kingsbury. They all love him, so maybe I'm in the wrong, but all those things. Sure. Commanders, sure. They just, again, it's just pass rush, man. It's really just pass rush to me. And the Chiefs, Chris Jones has been so dominant, and they've had, Frank Clark be dominant at times, and they've never figured it out. Why did the Eagles win? They destroyed the Chiefs' offensive line. And the Chiefs' offensive line is probably the one group we should have talked about more. The 2 biggest sneaky things that have happened to me are the Chiefs drafting Josh Simmons, who could be a franchise left tackle and fell because of health reasons could easily just fucking be fine. And they also lost Tooney, who went to the Bears.
Yeah.
Tooney's great. Tooney's a great player. So I love that for the Bears, who we both had making the playoffs, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. So there you have it. Again, it really is just going to be if the Ravens we say turnovers, pass rush in the playoffs causes the turnovers. That is what does it. So Ravens pass rush, they've had sacks, like you said. They need to have a lot more pressures and a lot more quick pressures and a lot more quick pressures with 4. And it needs to be the 4 up front. Really. It needs to, all of the great shiny things we love with Mike Macdonald. Mike Macdonald isn't here. I think he would still rock and roll with those things, but have to be able to get after the passer in the playoffs and force the turnovers, force the quarterback to let the ball go before he's sure and before he's processed and panic and all of those things. So sneaky, think Odafe Owe has a crazy year. Sneaky think he has 13 sacks, 14 sacks. Sneaky think he it sounds like, just based on comments, not just from him, but others throughout, I've heard 3 comments about him figuring out his weight. Sounds like they got it finally in the right spot of what his muscle mass, his leanness, his bulk that he needed. Sounds like his physiology is where it's wanted. He wants to get paid, and I think he is the next Raven to, go do that Matt Judon thing, go do that, big payday after Baltimore. If the Ravens can't retain him, they already paid Matabike. Who knows? But yeah, I think Owe is a catalyst for them this year. Looking for an impact from Malachi Starks and Mike Green, those rookies. Couldn't have nailed those draft picks more on paper to me. So yeah, I mean, why not? They've got, I'll say this too. The Bills and Ravens will win a Super Bowl in this era of football. I think both of those teams will win a Super Bowl in this era of football.
I think that would be really nice. I think that would dispel all of the toxicity that we see between these 2 fan bases too. You're kind of, they're kind of the 2 drunk guys in line waiting to get into the Roxbury, and, a little too much gel in their hair and their jeans are a little too tight, and, neither of them have chicks with them. And they're kind of just like, there's a little too much aggro energy, kind of, start to trade blows a little bit, but then bouncer lets one in, wait a couple beats, bouncer lets the other in. And then, hey, you know what? We're in, we'll buy each other a beer. Everything's fine. Have a nice night.
I love it.
Just let them both into the club and just end the fighting, and there doesn't need to be this toxicity.
The toxicity. Well, this is rare.
David Mulligetta is always agent. That's breaking news to me, and that doesn't make me feel great.
Yeah, I think and having that agent will put you in the right spots to do the things that it takes to play well enough on the field to get paid. I mean, it's if he has 13 sacks, he's getting 100 mil. He runs 4.3. He looks right, talks right, sounds right. Had 10 sacks last year. If he has like a 83 PFF grade and 62 pressures and 13 and a half sacks, he's getting 100 mil. I'll tell you that. He's a specimen. And I hope that's the case. I think it will be. I think that he stepped up his play last year, all those things. So he's a big catalyst, I think, for this Ravens team. I said Travis Jones to me is a big piece that they need to rely on. And I would love to see them keep him healthy and figure out if there's another little something between now and the end of the trade deadline that they could add on. I think that'd be real nice for a beefy boy in the middle. John Jenkins is nothing to sneeze at. He's a nice, career nose tackle that's bounced around and whatever, but I would love another fat boy in the middle that can provide some gusto on a cheap little rental for a conditional pick, something like that. That's where I'm looking to add. Last year, unfortunately, our concerns were offensive line, wide receiver, and saw a little bit of those come to fruition. I'd say that's my one little thinness thing where I'm like, would love to see them add there. But yeah, you and me both taking the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
You know what? Believe in something.
There you go.
Put yourself out there. Have some faith, Sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded.
It's been a while. And again, I think that the Ravens and the Bills, one of them breaks through this year. One of those two teams will win it.
Okay. Is that all we got?
I think that's all we got, my friend. We are almost 2 hours in. We have a little happy hour tomorrow. We'll have a preview show on Thursday. But man, oh man. Curtis Green says, have you both ever guessed him to win? No. I think between the two of us, I think we've only done that once, and I think it was me last year.
I think it was you last year and me the year before that.
Okay. There we go. So this will be our fourth total time between the two of us, first time together. We're in unison. We're in lockstep. Not planned. We genuinely had no idea how it plays out. So fired up. Ravens have a little bit of a tough start. Bye week 7, and then I think they go Hamboni. And yeah, let's have fun. Let's watch football. Let's eat the food, drink the beer, watch the game, put on one screen, put on a second. Anthony Bourdain of football.
Love it. Well, thank you guys for hanging with us here in the live chat. Like you said, we're running almost 2 hours, so this was a big, beefy one. Thanks for everyone listening after the fact on your Wednesday. Hope you're enjoying it very much. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Subscribe to us on your podcast platform of choice if that's what you're listening to. Do us a favor, leave a comment in the YouTube if that's what your preferred platform is to help get the algorithm pumping us up. You can find us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. I am at Jake Louque. That is Louque on Twitter. Spenny is at Ravens4Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. Eric is at EDITTI22. Brian at Barstool Banks. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Going to have all the homies in the live stream tomorrow, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that. Shout out to all our great sponsors, chief among them Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and a special shout out to Morning Mugs Coffee, which if you hadn't already heard, rewind and find yourself the details on that Pick'em League. That's going to be a lot of fun and a good chance to win some merch and win some great coffee. So great people over there and great things happening. Until then, we appreciate you guys. Like I said, hang in here with us. We'll be back actually tomorrow night and the night after that. So until then, rest up and we will see ya.
See ya.
Arrivederci.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about. Yes, sir. Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, let me.